in the end.
Gaelco is a company with a very unique history. Founded in October of 1985 in Barcelona, Spain, the company had a string of old-school arcade games throughout the 90s, such as Master Boy, Big Karnak, and Squash. They also published games like World Rally Championship and Biomechanical Toy. It was in the late 90s and the early 2000s where they made 3D arcade games. These are the games of theirs that I remember the most fondly. These include Radical Bikers, Rolling Extreme, Tokyo Cop, and today's game we're going to talk about, Smashing Drive. This was the first game I ever reviewed on the channel. The review wasn't good and is thankfully lost to time. Time to amend this. Smashing Drive is a 2000 racing game developed and published by Gaelco, released in arcades on December 10th, 2000. The game was ported to the GameCube and Xbox by Point of View and released on February 18th, 2002 and May 13th, 2002 respectively, only in North America. The console versions were published by Namco, who helped distribute the arcade version here in the US. There was also a GBA version done by DSi Games and published by Zoo Publishing, released on November 3rd, 2004 for North America and February 18th, 2005 for Europe. With Sega's Crazy Taxi being a success, it seems Gaelco wanted a piece of that pie. How does it compare? It's not great, but you know what, it can be fun for a short while. Smashing Drive at its core is a point A to B racing game. You're a crazy cab driver going up against another crazy cab driver in New York City. You two race from one end of the map to the other. All races take place in NYC through various locales. These include Brooklyn, Wall Street, Central Park, and various other sites you recognize. As you race throughout the levels, you'll find various power-ups to help you out. You'll have Turbo to give you more speed, Bigfoot or 4x4 in the console version, which turns your cab into a monster truck, Sonic Blast, which when you use the horn will blow every vehicle out of your way, Glider, which will give your cab wings for air control, Cutter, which will give you blades to slice through objects above you, Crash, which will give you a barrier to freely smash objects, at least other cars and such, and Repair, which will fix your cab. Yeah, you'll have to be careful to not damage your cab. In the upper right corner, below your speed, there is a damage meter. If you get hit, you'll take damage, and take enough damage, your cab will look unrecognizable. Be mindful of this. Use every power-up you find, keep an eye out for shortcuts, and you'll do fine. You'll beat the other cab driver and you'll keep moving on. If you damage enough though, or you run out of time, you'll have to try again. When you complete all 3 sections of the level, if you meet the score threshold, you get to do a bonus route that's even tougher. But if you complete it, you'll get bonus points. Repeat that a few more times with some differences on Dusk and Wired, only one goal to reach in that area of the game, and you have Smashing Drive in a nutshell. That's it. You can already see this game is slim on content. Given that it's an arcade game, I guess this isn't too much of a surprise. On consoles though, this kind of doesn't suffice. By and large, even with a few retries and a few sections, I managed to beat the game in less than 30 minutes. A 1 credit clear can probably be done in about 25 minutes. You do have a head-to-head mode for multiplayer, which does extend replayability a little bit, and you have a survival mode where if your damage maxes out, you lose for good. No continues. There's really not much difference otherwise between survival and arcade mode. You'll pretty much see everything it has to offer in about 1 hour and 30 minutes going through every mode, assuming you have a friend to play this with, and it's not, it's just 1 hour. On top of that, the way the actual gameplay flows does lead to repetition at times. You see, unlike the free-roaming Crazy Taxi, this game is very linear in nature. In a way, it almost feels like the rail shooter equivalent to a racing game. Like rail shooters, the action speaks for itself. In this, the action is all the crazy shortcuts you can take. Going through a theater, a basketball arena, a burning building, I could go on. These are definitely the most memorable moments in the game, but there are so many of them, they can kind of get old very fast. Mainly through repeat playthroughs, though there's not much of a reason for those if you ask me, other than to try and beat your score and the record lap time. You also have big jumps for big air and collecting power-ups, and some, at least, unique shortcuts. Graphically, this game is nothing special. The cab models look fine, but other car models look average to below average at worst. They don't have unique designs and they just blend in. I suppose this is done to help make the cab stand out, especially when the cab is all powered up. For the most part, the environment is a pretty basic recreation of New York City. You got all the bells and whistles, and for the time, it doesn't look too bad. Of course, technology has advanced things much further along, but for this time in 2000, it was fine. Everything is familiar, buildings are modeled decently enough, and you'll feel like you're in New York. The only thing that really doesn't look good is the pedestrian models. There may be plenty of them, but they don't look that detailed, even for the hardware standards, and they don't look as good as the passenger models. If you ask me, it feels like a whole midpoint between the 5th and 6th gen. And not that you would see the passengers on the console version anyway, because they're MIA along with the accompanying cutscenes. That's one thing the console version in particular suffers from. In the arcade version, you had cutscenes showing you picking up and dropping off the passenger, with both a success and a failure cutscene depending on if you beat the rival driver or timeout/damage enough respectively. The cutscenes helped give the game a bit of personality and someone to keep in mind, so you can make their day that much better with a crazy cab ride, and I guess give you some encouragement to not fail. In the console versions, these cutscenes are entirely removed. It's never been clear as to why they were removed in the first place. In my video showing the cutscenes, the comment section had people speculating all sorts of reasons. 9/11, because the Twin Towers are apparently in the final cutscene, legal reasons, and yeah. Love everyone who commented on the video, but some of those reasons I find a little too far-fetched. My guess is just because the port was quick and dirty. It was basically a quick and done one to make a quick cheap buck. Nothing more, nothing less. And in the beta version of the GameCube version, the cutscenes are actually still there, which is kind of confusing as to why they even were removed anyways, but whatever. It still hurts the process of losing the personality. At least the game controls well. The controls are very simple. You have an accelerate button, a brake button, and a horn button. There are some special moves you can do to help, like power sliding across sharp turns and attacking cars. The attract mode even shows them, but doesn't tell you how to do them. The arcade version told this via the wheel and gas and brake. In the console version, nothing. Not even a mock-up with an Xbox or GameCube controller and appropriate button combinations. They are simple to figure out, but that first part still sucks if you don't have the manual or need to look it up on the internet. Otherwise, the controls are fine. The sound is a bit on the generic side. The music has lyrics that correspond to the occasion. This approach was also taken via Radical Bikers. The music is cheesy, but kind of very much in the background to where you can tune it out if you really want to. Sound effects work, but they aren't as impactful as they should be. Yes, crashes and crushes sound like they should, but it's very subdued as if it was a normal occurrence. The one exception is the sonic blast sound effect, which sounds impactful and you feel it in addition to seeing it. Voice acting on the arcade cutscenes is cheesy as hell, with such memorable lines as, "Where's my legs?" It's not that hard to get a chuckle out of it. Smashing Drive is an average racing game that controls fine, looks alright, sounds alright, and has the familiarity of NYC, and the over-the-top nature can be enjoyable. However, the game isn't particularly a long game, which can lead to some repetition. Feels rail shooter-ish in nature, even furthering repetition on repeat plays should you decide to do that, and losing the arcade cutscenes took a part of this game's soul away. If you want to play this, emulate the arcade version in demo. It's probably the best way, in my opinion. If you want to get the console versions, they are cheap to get at this moment, and there are probably worse ways to spend an afternoon. All this game is a simple, quick little pick-up enjoyment, and then you're done. Just kind of like the arcade version. And I guess since that's all it ever wanted to be, I can't fault it too much. I give Smashing Drive a 3 out of 5. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, click the big red button below to subscribe. Check out the other links in the description for more cool stuff, and check out the playlist on screen for more content. See you in the next video.